We are back on Taking Care of Business on News Talk 1180 KERN for the best in Saturday talk radio on 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and also 3 times on the internet on knookmedia.com in Richmond, Oakland, and the San Francisco Bay Area. So, what do you think of Coach Dick Vermeil?
I'm really excited he's coming out to support the honor flight.
Yeah, wasn't that a fun interview, though? I enjoyed that.
I think of everything he's done in football, it pales to the honor flight that he's doing.
Oh, yeah. And you know, he's donating his time that night.
I know.
You know, and he gets, I probably shouldn't say how much, but I know he gets quite a bit for speaking. So
just about as much as you and I get.
I'd say quite a bit more. So, again, anybody who's interested in that honor flight, let me give that phone number one more time before we introduce our next guest. It's April 26th, the Honor Flight Gala event, and the phone number to call is 661-221-1819. That's 661-221-1819, and we'll be auctioning off all kinds of items that night. I'll be the auctioneer, so come join us on April 26th for a great, great evening of fun, and you get to hear Coach Dick Vermeil give his talk, and he'll probably talk a little bit about his 7 common sense principles of leadership. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
And he's going to wear his Super Bowl ring.
That's right, from the St. Louis Rams with Koerner as the quarterback. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't all that long ago. But anyway, so our next guest is a local friend of ours, Pedro Salas. I couldn't resist.
Sorry. Well, you have called people by the wrong name so many times.
There is a reason I did that.
This is Romeo.
It is Romeo Agbalog. Did I get that
correct.
right? Okay, how about that, Clay? Huh?
Romeo Agbalog. And we know Romeo is doing what?
Well, we know Romeo as a senior field representative for Gene Fuller. He's whenever Gene has a representative that she needs up in Tehachapi, Romeo is there.
He's also on a local school board here.
Yes.
That's
where?
correct, Clay. Yes, on the Delano Union School District Board of Trustees.
You've been on that for a while.
Since 2004.
Wow. Right. Get close to that thing. And what are you doing now? What are you about to run for?
Well, I'm running for the 32nd Assembly District seat.
Mm-hmm. And the 32nd Assembly District is now held by?
Rudy Salas is the incumbent.
Yes.
This is a district that encompasses all of Kings County and a portion of Kern.
Mm-hmm.
The Kern County portion includes the communities of Delano, McFarland, Wasco, Shafter, Lost Hills, Buttonwillow, Arvin, Lamont, and East Bakersfield.
Now, the reason I jokingly called you Pedro Salas is because Rudy Salas is the incumbent, but you also have another Republican challenger.
That's correct.
Pedro Rios.
Pedro Rios. He's the gentleman who ran against Rudy the last time.
And he did a pretty good job against Rudy. He was fairly close.
Fairly close. I believe he garnered about 47% of the vote.
Wow.
And he's got his own baggage, unfortunately, which most of us do. But of it.
But look at Rudy, though. His next step, I think, is Congress or the Senate, because he's just moved right up the line.
Mm-hmm.
He spent a few months here and a few months there. This must be the longest job he's ever had.
Well, and we had him in here when he was a city councilman running for city council. In fact, I'm surprised he's come back, because we were live at the time, and the comment I made to him is, I said, Rudy, you're the first live liberal we've had in the show. Usually we have one stuffed in the corner. And he got a laugh out of it, and he came back when he ran for the assembly.
I saw Rudy this morning at an event, and I asked him, are you going to come back on? He said, well, yeah, as long as you don't endorse anybody.
Well, I saw him in Sacramento on Monday.
Oh, did you?
Or Tuesday, actually, and got the same. We got to spend a little bit of time, and I'm surprised, and this is a question for you. I'm surprised at how many people in Sacramento like Rudy in the business community. They say he's good on business issues, considering he's a Democrat. How do you feel about that?
Well, I've talked to business people as well throughout the district, and some people have told me that he's a nice guy, and he hasn't really done anything bad, but at the same time, he hasn't really done anything to help them either. Mm-hmm. And regardless of whether you like him or not, the 2/3 majority in Sacramento is not your friend.
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem.
Absolutely.
Well, explain that 2/3 majority, Romeo, and how that works for
super majority, isn't it?
Well, it's a super majority, and basically what that means is that the Democrats have enough votes to push through tax increases and more burdensome regulation on businesses in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think it's a super majority anymore. I think there are like 3 of them that were booted out.
Well, it's a super majority until November.
Oh, is it still?
Yeah, so hopefully we can change that. But you're right. Right now, the Democrats own Sacramento.
But no, those 3 can't vote right now, so they don't have the super majority.
I'm not sure how that works, but again, they're getting everything through they want, unfortunately. Yeah. But then again, Governor Brown tends to be a little more moderate than I thought he was going to be. So when it comes to business,
Well, that could be, certainly. But I just don't think that the incumbent has the horsepower to stop that two-thirds majority when they really want to do something. No. You'll see, again, on the table will be the oil severance tax.
Our guest in person is Romeo Agbalog, who is now running for the 32nd Assembly District.
Well, the time's going to come when Rudy's going to have to vote the way the party votes, or he's going to end up in Shannon Grove's office.
That's right.
In the corner somewhere.
That corner office, yeah. Which I think is a badge of honor.
Yeah. So, Romeo, let's talk about you. You're running for the Assembly District. What are you going to bring to the Republican Party?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about my background. Born and raised in Delano. Lived there all of my life. I'm a resident of 32nd District, lifelong. Married with 5 children. And the reason why I'm running... Thank you. The reason why I'm running is it just boils down to one question, is what kind of California are we going to leave behind for our children? Presently, we have a valley that's thirsty. We have poor water policy, and I want to work to bring water back to the valley, bring jobs, and increase our economy. And the other part is California's priorities are not in the right place. We've got a high-speed rail project that threatens to bankrupt future generations, and I want to go up to Sacramento and help pull the plug on that. As I shared with some of you folks, I'm on a school board in Delano. Been on the school board since 2004, re-elected in 2008, and ran unopposed in 2012. And we try our level best in Delano to provide our children with the best educational opportunities possible and to give them the tools that they need to succeed. Well, once they cycle through our school system, what do we have to offer them in terms of employment? It's a disservice. And so I want to go to Sacramento and help fix that.
One of the things you brought up briefly was water issues, and you work for Senator Gene Fuller, and I believe Senator Fuller, is an expert on water issues in California. Is that not correct?
Absolutely.
And so you're involved with a lot of water issues then.
That's correct.
Yeah, in fact, her husband he was head of a water district in Lancaster, so, she really knows water inside out, having been involved with him for quite a while.
Absolutely. She's the best legislator to work for, and she's the most knowledgeable, in my opinion, with regards to water. And if I'm elected, I'll certainly lean on her to make me smart on a lot of the issues affecting the valley water. Certainly, we need a plan that will contain water storage, conveyance, and a clean, safe, reliable source.
One of the things regarding water that I was kind of surprised at being in Sacramento for a couple of days this week is they were talking about how in a lot of cases it's not really so much Democrat versus Republican, it's coastal versus inland. Here it is in the inland, a big issue for us is water. As far as the coast is concerned, they could care less about water. It's not an issue for them. So, we're looking more on issues that they have versus issues that we have, and our issues are totally different than people on the coast.
That's correct. It's a regional issue.
Mm-hmm.
But the economy should be a bipartisan thing. Water should be a bipartisan thing. One of the skills that I think that I have to offer in this race is that I grew up in local government. I worked for a member of the Board of Supervisors, John McQuiston, for about 7 years before I moved on. And my area that I represented for Supervisor McQuiston was that northern Kern County portion, Delano, McFarland, and Shafter. And now it's a nonpartisan position. So you learn to work with people, whether they're on the far right or the far left or a little bit in between, and you find that common thread that brings people together. And you build coalitions to move your agenda forward. That's the kind of common sense approach I want to take to Sacramento to help solve this water issue.
So, water is one of your main issues. What's your feeling about all the unemployment in Kern County? How are we going to overcome unemployment here?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to do is reduce some of the burdensome regulation in Sacramento so that we can allow existing businesses to grow and thrive. Another part is education. I think we need to invest in education so that we can prepare kids to enter the workforce and get a job that pays them a good wage and is sustainable, not so much seasonal.
So you're in the minority party. They have a supermajority. How are you going to be able to, when you come back, you can answer this question, but how are you as an individual in the minority party going to be able to impact what takes place in Sacramento and throughout California?
And let's pick up with the answer when we come back from break. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.